Here we are. We back with another one, back with another breakdown for you guys. Let's starting off with UJ on the daily. UJ has been in this range for quite a bit. It made a all-time high at 164. We can probably say, let's see, 164. Eight 161,875. Then it came down, tested this support level that we had here, came up again at 157,966 and created a low high point. Price then came back down to attempt to break this strong level of support that we have here, but failed to do so, also creating a higher low point, right? So high low points is definitely bullish structure. So we're gonna go down, come down from the daily, from the weekly and go to the daily. We was in a downtrend on the daily, which we still are in a downtrend. Possibly. We'll have to see how this week turns out. But going down to H4, I remember I had analysis where price was trying to hold this previous resistance now turn support. It has not. So we can definitely move this here and we can definitely delete that. Actually, let's bring it back, right? Because I think on the smaller time frames, we was anticipating this support was holding and we was anticipating a break of this resistance to then come back and retest, but we never got that. So that we definitely avoided a loss there. So we can delete that, right? So we never got to change a character, break a structure, that in that area, right? So price then came back down. Let's go back to the H4 real fast. Price then came back down to tap into this, you can say a demand zone, right? Where it price broke, came back, retest, right? So it went away, made a new high point, and it came back again to test this demand zone right here, right? We can also mark off right here where price did have a little consolidation zone right here. This was a little consolidation zone. This is a H4, so this is a big time frame. It had a little consolidation zone, and come a consolidation zone, we have liquidity laying below that, right? So price then came, tapped into this liquidity, also tapping into our demand zone, giving us bullish indication, right? So after price gave us this bullish indication, we could have then went down to the M30 time frame. So we went down to the M30 time frame and we see a resistance here. And price broke that resistance, right? To then come back and then make that resistance turn support. And that was a push up, right? So during the week, I took a position um thinking that price was gonna break out of this consolidation zone where it kind of did with this good bullish candle right here. Let me mark this off so you guys can see this bullish candle right here. I took a buy, but then I wasn't aware of news, right? So then that was definitely my fault, right? So then price news happened, price came down, took me out of the trade and continued bullish. But losing is a part of the game. Everybody loses, right? It's just how you bounce back from that loss. So what you can see here was uh support right here that was made. After that support, resistance that was made, sorry about that. It came up and consolidated. Price then came back to use this support as resistance, right? I could delete this. I like to leave these on so I can see my past trades. So let me just move it over here. Right. So price then came back, consolidated in the zone, but then also made a high low point, right? After price made this high low point, I kind of did miss this trade. This was 10:30 at night. So I wasn't really looking at the charts, but because I usually trade New York sessions, but I could have looked at the chart, and even though this was consolidation, um, even in this break, this was London session, 2 a.m. Eastern. This is starting to become London session. So I did kind of miss the initial entry that you would have wanted to take. But then New York session occurred within, New York session, and price then had a resistance right here. It broke that resistance, and then I was able to take a position with the strong buy, the strong bullish candle right here. After this bullish candle, I took this position up for 105, and I closed at this zone. This zone is we're targeting this was the same high that we previously made, and that's why I target that. TP1 is usually negative 27% right here, right? But I know it was coming up to the end of the week and I didn't want to hold the trade, right? It was coming up to the weekend, so I didn't want to hold the trade. So I just closed out at the previous high, right? But what we want to anticipate for this upcoming week is price is still bullish. Excuse me, sorry about that. Price is still bullish, and we can see here that price done use this resistance to now turn support, right? And coming up to New York session tomorrow, we can drop down to the smaller time frames to see, you know, is resistance being broken? Because this is kind of tested. Um, Bullish, doji, bearish, bullish, bullish, bearish. It was kind of tested. It's still hanging around this area right here. So what you want to see is price form another like a resistance pullback, some form of a higher low point to then continue bullish. And we will still be at a M30 high low point and H4 high low point because price then previously right here created a high low point, right? Since we have bearish, doji, bullish, right? With no wick to the upside. So that's strong bullish indication. So we'll still be at a high low point on the H4, and then we can still target negative 27%. So that's my outlook for UJ at the moment and what we will be anticipating for this upcoming week. Picking up where we left off with AU, right? Where we was anticipating price to come back to this. Let's see. This was a structure point. This was a resistance that we had here on the H4 time frame, right? Where we was anticipating price to come back and pull back into this zone to then push price back up, right? But if we go to the smaller time frame, we never got confirmation. So we can definitely delete this, right? So we never got confirmation. We never got confirmation of a shift of structure. So we got lower lows. So price broke this low right here. This was this support to then make a lower low, lower high point, lower low, lower high point. Even though it's a consolidation zone, it was still kind of a lower high point. We made a lower low to then make another resistance, lower high to then make a higher low point, right? To then break that high low point, to break that high point, to break this resistance, to then create a high. And price is currently sitting at is during its pullback session right now. Is at its pullback stage. So price is looking to create a lower high point, a higher low point, sorry about that, to then continue bullish, right? So we can be anticipating that, and price broke the MAs, right? So we can mark this off. We had a resistance here that changed the character. So it went from bearish character to now a bullish, right? So price broke. Now it's sitting at the same resistance that it's potentially looking to create support here. So being that we have a break of a lower high point of a lower high point, we could then slap on our fib on the M30 time frame, boom, point A to point B, and price is now sitting at the 51%, 50%, close to 61.8, 61.8% on the fib, but we can still be looking at bullish structure, right? So this is a consolidation zone. We could delete that. This is a consolidation zone right here, which is potentially this is a consolidation zone, which is a demand zone, right? So we had this right here where it consolidated for price, and then it created It had liquidity sitting under this consolidation zone where price then swept it. We have an engulfing, well, we have a bullish variation, right? Where price, where it was bearish, then price went bearish, bullish, bullish, right? Even though it was a lot of wick at this top end, it still broke the high of this candle. So that was a bullish variation at this point right here, right? So price already swept liquidity, right? So price is playing around at the top of this demand zone, and price is looking to, I'm not sure if it's gonna pull back even deeper into this demand zone, but we will be looking for a shift of structure or bullish indication after it comes into this demand zone even steeper and push up, right? So we can be looking for any bullish variation, bullish, engulfing, anything sort of that nature to be pushing price up, right? So we can go back to this H4 time frame. And like I said, we can slap on our fit point A to point B, and we can be targeting negative 27%. But we do want to take a look at the daily and see what price it does want to do, where we do have a strong supply zone right here on the daily that we can be looking to sweep these highs, right, of this liquidity right here. So negative 27% is above this liquidity that I could be potentially looking to sweep, or we can play the safe route and just target this high point, right? So we can even just play the safe route and target this high point, being that we are on a uptrend on the daily time frame, right? We're on a downtrend on the daily time frame. Weekly time frame, we are definitely on a bearish structure, right? So we can be looking to just take what the market gives us, and we don't want to really like risk too much. So we can just be looking to target these highs, and that's my outlook on AU at the moment. We can be moving on to US30. So US30, we can say that price broke structure here to then make a new high point. So that's why I drew my fib point A to point B. And price then came back into this supply zone that we had here, right? That was kind of sloppy. So we have a supply zone here where price consolidated a little bit here. There's a little supply zone. We had liquidity laying below this supply zone. We also have liquidity laying below this consolidation zone that price came and swept both liquidities, right? So price came and swept both liquidities. And we can look on we could drop time frames, go to the daily. So we did have price on a pullback where price created a high low point, a lower high point on the weekly time frame, then break this low point, right? This support here to then create a lower high point, to then create a lower low, to then create a lower high, to then create a higher low point. So price never broke this low. So this is bullish indication of price wanting to push higher. So price did push higher, breaking this resistance right here that we're gonna mark off now. So it broke this resistance on the daily time frame. All right, so mark that off. You just want to mark everything off. Once you see support or resistance created, you just want to mark it off, right? So even if you look to the left, where this was a support, price support then came back to make a resistance, to then price now breaking that support and resistance to giving us bullish indication, and it's approaching these MAs. So we want to see more of a push to the upside, right? So we want to see more of a push because price came up, but it's still close to this support. I mean, to this resistance right here, right? Where we have bullish, doji, bearish, bullish, bullish, but we have a lot of wick to the upside. And then we have a daily Friday, the market's closed with a doji, right? So we want to see a continuation of a push to break these MAs also. And then we will be targeting a pullback, right? Where we can mark off some of these gaps that we have here in the market, right? So US30 has been gapping a lot. So we have a gap here, but we can say this gap was actually filled. It was filled. So that's a gap that was filled. Um, this was another gap that was filled. This was filled also. And this was another gap, minor gap right here. That price done came and filled it also, right? So if you look to the right, that gap was filled. So all these gaps was filled, but these are major price points in the market, right? So we can still be looking for a push up on the daily time frame. You want to stay more on the daily for US30 because it is kind of sloppy. It's just sloppy price action, a lot of news. We can even check the calendar coming up for this week where we don't have no high impact news on Monday, but we do have Fed inflation expectations. So we can be taking a look at that, right? We have FOMC member Kugler speaks, and we just want to have a just have a sense of direction with that, right? Where we just want to keep it in the back of our mind. We also have CPI coming up on Tuesday, and let's see what other high impact news we have. FOMC member Waller speaks. It's not high impact, but it's medium impact, which we have an orange folder. Then we have on Thursday, we have a lot of red folders. Core PPI, core retail sales. High impact news is going to be going on Thursday. So that, and we have Powell speaking on Thursday at 8:40 a.m. So right before NYSE open, and we can definitely be looking for price to make some moves, right? Where the market will be making some moves. So if we have enough news to see US30 really push and break this resistance right here. And then, one of the news events will be negative to push price down. And then the following week, we can be looking for a high low point to then be creating a high and be continuing in our bullish trend. So this week for US30, I really don't see a trade at this moment, unless we're on the smaller time frames. And I mean, this is just sloppy price action. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, this is just sloppy. Sloppy consolidation, ugly consolidation, a lot of wicks. Man, I will stay away from US30 this week. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stay away. Um, the same with Nas 100. Same thing, it's pretty much similar asset to trade where we have gaps here. We have gaps throughout this whole thing. Right? We just have a bunch of gaps. So that first gap was not filled. This gap was filled. So we can delete that. We have another gap here that was filled. We can delete that. So with NAS, we can mark this off, right? So we can mark off this resistance right here that was previously support. We can mark off this resistance here also to see exactly why price is playing around in this area. And we can price made a new high point breaking this previous resistance, right? We can be anticipating point A to point B. Let's stop on our fib, point A to point B, right? It's not really a good resistance, being that we're looking for a bullish, bearish candle for them to see resistance, but this is sloppy. So we can't even slap on a fib right now, but we can be anticipating price to then create a resistance here, to then pull back, possibly fill in this gap, to then potentially pushing price back up, right? With these news events that we do have occurring in the market this week. But I would still stay away from a lot of this US30 NAS stuff because it's just gonna get sloppy and nasty. Um, we can even mark off right here. This could potentially be a supply zone right here. And yeah, this could potentially have liquidity laying below this also. So this is my outlook for the NASDAQ, right? We had did US30. So that's it, man. Thank you guys for rocking with me. You know, every week I will get better at, talking at the camera, talking to the camera, getting better at, speaking and providing more value with these breakdowns, right? So, thanks again, Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys next week with another chart breakdown. Be patient. Don't forget to be patient this week and take what the market gives you, you know. Don't don't rush it. You want to you want to react, not predict the market, right? You want to react, not think you know what the market is going to do. You just want to sit back, watch, and then see where you can ride the wave along to make some profits. And that's about it. Thank you guys.